As a tribute to Iron Man of India, Sardar Patel, government issues notification saying that the new union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh to come into existence on his birth anniversary, the 31st of October. Calm and peace prevails in Jammu and Kashmir. Prohibitory orders under Section 144 of CrPC withdrawn from Jammu district. Schools reopen in Doda and Kathua, among other places. India terms Pakistan's decision to downgrade diplomatic ties with India as unilateral and regrettable, says Pakistan seems nervous that development of J&K will nullify its nefarious acts. Rescue and relief operations in full swing as flood situation remains grim in states of Kerala, Maharashtra, Karnataka. Union Home Ministry maintaining a close watch on the situation. 83 teams of NDRF and 173 teams of Air Force, Navy and Coast Guard deployed. Over 82,000 persons moved to safety. Congress Working Committee to meet amidst a leadership crisis in the party. CWC may announce new Congress chief. In international news, North Korea fires 2 unidentified missiles into the sea, its 5th such launch in recent weeks. Launch is seen as mark of protest against the US-South Korea military drill, which is currently underway. Hello and welcome to this edition of the news. I'm Rukma. In our top story, President Ramnath Kovind on Friday gave assent to the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Bill 2019. The Home Ministry in a notification has said that the 2 union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, will come into existence on the birth anniversary of the Iron Man, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, on the 31st of October. According to the legislation, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir will have a legislature like Puducherry. Ladakh will be a Union Territory like Chandigarh without a legislature. In both the Union Territories, key subjects such as law and order will be with the centre. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir will have a Lieutenant Governor, and the maximum strength of its assembly will be of 107, which will be enhanced to 114 after a delimitation exercise. 24 seats of the assembly will continue to remain vacant as they fall under Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The Union Territory of Ladakh will have Kargil and Leh districts. The Act said Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory will have reservation in the assembly seats. The Lieutenant Governor of the successor Union Territory of J&K may nominate 2 members to the Legislative Assembly to give representation to women if, in his opinion, women are not adequately represented in the Legislative Assembly. Meanwhile, the situation is calm across Jammu and Kashmir. After being confined to their homes for days, people in Kashmir offered Friday prayers in their local mosques as restrictions were eased for the purpose. The valley was largely peaceful. Restrictions were eased and people who had been virtually indoors because of heavy security deployment were allowed to go to mosques in their localities by security personnel. With no untoward incident, the situation was reported to be fine in Srinagar city as well as in South Kashmir. The situation across Jammu region has also returned to normalcy as restrictions have been eased in Jammu, Kathua and Samba districts with the opening of educational institutions. Shops, schools and academic institutions, both private and government, and shops are open in Samba, Kathua and Udhampur districts. The administrations in various districts are making security arrangements in connection with Eid to ensure the return of normalcy and to avoid untoward incidents of any kind. And our correspondent Mark Lynn joins us from Srinagar with more updates on this story. Mark, we believe, the situation continues to be normal in the valley.
Good morning, Rukma. Well, normal is a relative word. It's probably difficult to, define. But if we say that conditions are under control over here, if you could say that people go out to the market and buy their morning groceries, they buy rotis, they buy eggs and things like that, milk. People have been doing that, which means that, let's say that the situation seems on the surface, to use that word, normal in that sense. But normal is, as I said, is a relative word because there are no communication links. People aren't able to communicate with one another. There's no internet, there's no telephones. So they meet each other and they talk. We're going back to the era before telecommunications in a sense. And that perhaps may be a good thing for some time. But how long can people relate to a situation like that, one has to see. But things are calm, one would say that. There is a high security presence, in some places more than others, and people move around. They are moving around freely. There's only Section 144 in place. It's not curfew, so people can move around. That's prohibitory orders. And as you did say that people did go for their Friday prayers yesterday, and they did so in their local mosques. People continue to be seen on the streets, some driving in their cars, riding on their motorcycles, on their cycles. So things look, in that sense, there has been no untoward incident.
Right.
The situation is like that.
Right.
Right.
Right, Mark. Well, stay with us. We also have with us our correspondent Ashwini Mishra from Jammu. Ashwini, yesterday itself, in our conversation, you had told us that shops had started to open in various districts. Normalcy has returned, and children were even preparing to go to schools. What about today?
रुकमा पूरी तरह से जनजीवन सामान्य है। लोग अपनी दिनचर्या पर अच्छे तरीके से लौट आए हैं। किसी भी तरीके से शांति को कोई भी खतरा नहीं है। कल जुमे की नमाज की वजह से कुछ घंटों के लिए दुकानें बंद थी, लेकिन परसों से ही दुकानें लगातार खुली है। और सबसे बड़ी बात यह कि प्रशासन द्वारा इम्पोज किया गया धारा 144 वो ख़त्म कर दिया गया है जम्मू में। जम्मू में स्कूल और कॉलेज आज से खुल गए हैं। खुद हम सड़कों की रौनक दिखाएंगे आपको। ये हाईकोर्ट रोड है। हाईकोर्ट रोड पे आवाजाही लोगों की सबसे ज़्यादा रहती है। हालांकि शनिवार को हाईकोर्ट बंद रहता है, लेकिन जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट और अन्य सरकारी कार्यालय हैं वो पूरी तरीके से खुले हुए हैं। और धीरे धीरे लोग जो है अपने दिनचर्या में उन्मुख है और दफ्तरों की तरफ जा रहे हैं। तो सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि स्कूलों का खुल जाना और सबसे बड़ी बात यह कि धारा 144 का हटा लिया जाना ये बताता है कि किसी तरीके की कोई भी यहाँ पर आशंका नहीं है। पूरी तरीके से जनजीवन सामान्य है और लोगों में उत्साह भी है, ज़बरदस्त उत्साह भी है और भविष्य के लिए बेहद उत्कंठा भी है, क्योंकि बहुत सालों बाद उनकी ये मनमानी मुराद पूरी हुई है। सबको ये लगता था कि जम्मू का सही तरीके से विकास नहीं हो पा रहा है, क्योंकि राजनीतिक बढ़त और राजनीतिक नेतृत्व तो कहीं न कहीं घाटी से हुआ करता था। और अब जबकि विधानसभा के साथ ये केंद्र शासित क्षेत्र होगा, तो यहाँ पर लोगों के जनप्रतिनिधि भी होंगे, लोगों की आकांक्षाएं भी होंगी और बेहद तेज़ तरीके से इस पूरे क्षेत्र का विकास होगा और देश की जो विकास की मुख्य धारा है उसमें शामिल होगा। तो आप ये मान के चले कि आने वाले दिन में बकरीद का त्यौहार है, उसके लिए भी बाज़ार की रौनक हम शाम को तक आपको दिखाएंगे कि किस तरीके से लोग ख़रीदारी में तेज़ी से जुटे हुए हैं। किसी भी तरीके की कोई आशंका न हो उसके लिए सुरक्षा के एहतियातन उपाय तो किए गए हैं, लेकिन जनजीवन पूरी तरह से सामान्य है। स्कूल भी खुल गए हैं और उसके बाद रक्षाबंधन का त्यौहार, फिर 15 अगस्त का त्यौहार, सोमवार और मंगलवार यहाँ छुट्टी भी है बकरीद की वजह से। तो आने वाले कई दिन जश्न के माहौल में हैं और जश्न की बात तो ये भी है कि इतने साल बाद ऐसा ऐतिहासिक फैसला हुआ और ऐसा ऐतिहासिक दिन देखा है लोगों ने। जश्न तो लगातार जारी रहेगा।
Right, Ashwini, as you tell us, life continuing to be very normal in Jammu. Well, the date has been set as 31st of October, the birth anniversary of Sardar Patel, for the actual formalities to be complete and Jammu and Kashmir to be declared to be made into a union territory. What is the kind of response you are getting from people there regarding this?
जी रुकमा, राजपत्र और राजाज्ञा घोषित होने के बाद अब जब ये तय हो गया है कि 31 अक्टूबर को केंद्र शासित क्षेत्र के रूप में जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख घोषित किया जाएगा, तो ये तो सबसे बड़ी जिसको कहते हैं कार्यांजलि, श्रद्धांजलि है लौह पुरुष सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल के लिए, जिन्होंने सभी रियासतों का बेहद कुशल तरीके से एकीकरण किया और अखंड भारत का उन्होंने सपना देखा। और वास्तविक अर्थों में जिस तरीके से अगर मान के चले तो अब जाकर भारत का जो एकीकरण हुआ है, क्योंकि कुछ ऐसी धाराएं और अनुच्छेद थे जो कि पूर्ण रूप से जम्मू कश्मीर को देश के विकास की मुख्य धारा में शामिल होने से रोके हुए थे, एक दीवार की तरह खड़े हुए थे, वो दीवार भी ढही है। तो निश्चित तौर से लौह पुरुष के जन्मदिन पर जब केंद्र शासित क्षेत्र घोषित होगा लद्दाख, जम्मू कश्मीर, तो लोगों के लिए बेहद उत्कंठा का विषय होगा, बेहद उत्साह का विषय होगा, नए भविष्य के निर्माण का विषय होगा। लेकिन उसकी शुरुआत तो समझिए एक तरीके से हो चुकी है। लोग ये मान के चल रहे हैं कि जो राज्य सरकार के का जो वो था, जो राज्य सरकार के जो प्रशासन था, वो किस तरीके से केंद्र शासित प्रदेश के कर्मचारियों में किस तरीके से वो होगा। कुछ प्रशासनिक जो जरूरी और फॉर्मेलिटीज होती है उसके लिए भी 31 अक्टूबर तक का जो समय होगा वो काफ़ी कारगर और माकूल होगा। और निश्चित तौर से आप ये समझिए कि पूरी तैयारी के साथ, पूरे दूरदर्शी दृष्टिकोण के साथ और पूरे सबल प्रतिबद्धता के साथ जब इसे लागू किया जाएगा तो वो निश्चित तौर से इस पूरे क्षेत्र के समन्वित संतुलित विकास के लिए ऐतिहासिक साबित होगा। और लोगों की जो जन आकांक्षाएं हैं, क्षेत्रीय विकास की जन आकांक्षाएं हैं और जो अपनी विशेषताओं को समाहित किए हुए देश के साथ जुड़कर राष्ट्र निर्माण की जो आकांक्षाएं हैं वो भी पूरी होंगी।
Right, Ashwini, thank you very much for joining us and for all your inputs, and Marklin, to many thanks. Well, moving on now, India continues to hit out at Pakistan over its bid to present an alarmist picture of bilateral ties through a range of retaliatory measures after India announced partial abrogation of Article 370 and bifurcation of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh into two union territories. Addressing a press conference, the MEA's spokesperson urged Pakistan to face the reality on Kashmir and stop misleading the world. He pointed out that there is a feeling that Pakistan is nervous, as it fears it will not be able to mislead people if there is development in J&K.
After having expressed regret over retaliatory steps taken by Pakistan against India's decision of abrogating Article 370 of the Constitution, the Ministry of External Affairs reaffirmed on Friday that its move to scrap Article 370 is an internal matter. Hitting out at Pakistan, India said that Pakistan is nervous over India's steps in Jammu and Kashmir, as it is worried it won't be able to mislead people if there is development in the region.
See, our strategy is not something which we will spell it here. Our views are very clear, and as I mentioned that we have articulated those views to all the international organizations as well, that whatever steps we have taken in relation to Article 370 is our matter, is an internal matter. Matters related to the Constitution of India is under our sovereign jurisdiction. And this is something which I'm sure has been properly explained to these organizations. But beyond that, as and when Pakistan decides to internationalize it, we will see what steps are to be taken.
The Ministry of External Affairs reiterated that Pakistan was trying to mislead the world by presenting an alarming picture of bilateral ties between India and Pakistan. MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar underlined that India's decision on Kashmir are aimed at ushering in good governance, better healthcare facilities and livelihood prospects for all people in the region.
There have been certain contacts being made at the level of External Affairs Minister as well. It may not be appropriate to kind of get into specifics as to which all calls were made by whom, but I think it is important to understand that we did reach out to all the countries and all the multilateral organizations in this regard.
The MEA once again called upon Pakistan to reconsider its decision to downgrade diplomatic ties with India and asserted that the suspension of the Samjhauta Express train by Pakistan was a unilateral decision and unfortunate one.
Samjhauta Express, which has been stopped, again it is important to understand that this is a unilateral decision. We never asked for the stoppage, and again we regret the decision by Pakistan government to stop this link between the two countries. It is unfortunate.
The MEA further informed that the Indian High Commissioner to Islamabad, Ajay Bisaria, is yet to return to Delhi. It also said that India has reached out to all countries explaining its position since the decision was announced.
Indian High Commissioner's return, I can only confirm to you that he is not yet in Delhi. Timing of return is yet to be decided. As you are aware that we have requested for a review of the decision. So I think there are some speculations in the media that he is already back. So I thought it is important for me to mention that he is not in Delhi. and his timing of when he is going to return is going to be determined.
MEA spokesperson also underlined that it's time that Pakistan faced the reality and stopped interfering in other nations' internal matters. With Abhishek Jai, DD News.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Bhutan on the 17th and the 18th of August in tune with India's neighbourhood first policy. The Prime Minister will hold bilateral talks with his Bhutanese counterpart Lote Tshering. Here's what to expect.
Reiterating continued and unabated focus on neighbours first policy, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Bhutan on 17th August for a 2-day visit. The two strategic allies will explore ways to further strengthen and diversify bilateral partnership during the meet. This will be Prime Minister's first visit to the Himalayan nation post assuming charge of the office for the second time.
Prime Minister is paying a state visit to Bhutan on the 17th and 18th of August. And as all of you know, we enjoy a very special and a very privileged relationship with Bhutan. This is Prime Minister's second visit. His first visit was in June 2014 when he took over as the Prime Minister in his first term. Last year was also the golden jubilee of our bilateral relationship, and this year immediately on assumption of office, the new External Affairs Minister also made Bhutan his first destination. So in sum, I think this government attaches importance to its relationship with Bhutan and has demonstrated this through the political exchanges it has engaged in with Bhutan.
The PM will have a packed schedule as the visit will witness conclusion of several pacts. PM Modi will hold discussions with his Bhutanese counterpart Lote Tshering. He is expected to inaugurate the 720 megawatt Mangdechu hydropower project and will also hold discussions for another hydroelectricity project. Reiterating that the neighbours first policy is of utmost importance, the PM will lay ground for several projects in the areas of healthcare, space and finance. Laying special emphasis on youth and to reach out to them, a special link will be created to directly connect universities in India and Bhutan.
The Prime Minister is keen on enhancing educational contacts in the STEM area, science, technology and mathematics, and in this area some MOUs are going to be signed between key Indian institutions and the counterparts in Bhutan. On the information highway, of which the National Knowledge Network is one aspect, and on the judicial and legal sector.
DD News.
Senior BJP leader and former Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who was admitted to the intensive care unit of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi on Friday after he complained of breathlessness and restlessness, is hemodynamically stable. The former union minister is currently undergoing treatment in the ICU under the supervision of multidisciplinary team of doctors. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited AIIMS on Friday evening to inquire about the health condition of Arun Jaitley. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan, MOS Health Ashwini Chaubey and MOS Finance Anurag Thakur also visited Arun Jaitley at AIIMS. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu also visited AIIMS this morning to inquire about the health condition of former Union Minister Arun Jaitley. Incessant rains battered several states including Kerala, Maharashtra and Karnataka on Friday, with landslips and floods throwing normal life out of gear. In Kerala, nearly a dozen people were killed in rain-related incidents, while over 23,000 have been moved to 351 relief camps. The government has issued red alert for 9 districts as rains are expected to continue till Monday. The situation is serious in Wayanad, Malappuram, Kasaragod, Kozhikode, Ernakulam and Thrissur. Rail, road and air transport took a hit in the state, with several trains being cancelled and the Cochin International Airport shut till the 11th of August due to waterlogging in almost 60% region of its operational area. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan held a meeting with government and state disaster management authority officials and took stock of the flood situation. And floods have affected several parts of Maharashtra as well, throwing normal life out of gear. Kolhapur, Sangli, Satara and surrounding areas have received very heavy rains in the last few days, leading to a flood-like situation. The Maharashtra government on Friday said that it had released 154 crore rupees to district collectors for disbursal of aid to flood-affected people of the western region and elsewhere. Nearly 2,03,000 people have been rescued and saved, while more than 28,000 animals have been shifted to safer locations. 267 temporary camps have been set up across flood-affected areas. Again in Karnataka, nearly 45,000 people have been evacuated from flood-hit areas. Incessant rains in various parts of the state have left 12 out of 30 districts and 51 talukas affected. Nearly 70,000 people have taken shelter in relief camps. Teams of NDRF, Army, Navy and Air Force are involved in the relief operations. Belgavi, Hubli, Mysuru, Kodagu, Bagalkot are the worst affected by floods. In a humanitarian gesture, the South Western Railways has thrown open its railway stations to flood-hit displaced people, besides engaging in rescue and relief operations. Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, nearly 1,000 people were evacuated in Dhar and Barwani districts on Friday, with the river Narmada flowing above the danger mark as rain slashed all parts of the state. Red alert has been declared in 9 districts. All schools in Barwani, Jhabua, Ujjain and Mandsaur districts to remain closed today due to heavy rains in the area. The Congress Working Committee will meet in New Delhi today amidst a leadership crisis. The CWC may select a new party chief after Rahul Gandhi quit the post in May. Earlier, the top Congress leadership held a meeting on Friday with its state unit chiefs and leaders of its state legislature parties, along with its general secretaries and in charges. In international news, North Korea fired 2 unidentified missiles into the sea. Its 5th such launch in recent weeks. The launch from near the eastern city of Hamhung in South Hamgyong province sent missiles into the Sea of Japan. The launches come after US President Donald Trump said he had received a very beautiful letter from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. A power cut across Britain on Friday evening left almost 1 million people without electricity as traffic lights were knocked out. Trains came to a standstill and aircraft were grounded during rush hour. London, the southeast and northwest of England and Scotland were impacted, leaving hundreds of thousands of people temporarily without electricity. The Victoria line on the city's underground system had also been suspended. According to the National Grid electricity system operator, there had been some issues with 2 power generators and the problems have now been resolved. And on to sports. Star wrestler Bajrang Punia won his 4th gold medal this year. Defending champion Bajrang defended his title at the Tbilisi Grand Prix tournament in Georgia. In the men's 65 kg freestyle division final on Friday, Bajrang defeated Peyman Bibani of Iran 2-0. And that's all in this edition of the news. News and updates continue on DD News and DD India. Stay tuned. Namaskar.
Quick look at the day's top news.